Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you so much for coming here. We really do appreciate it and are really excited just because today we have some very cool announcements. We want to show you the progress that we've been making, and it's going to be a pretty packed session that is gonna that is gonna be also kind of over the shoulder. We're going to show you how to deploy one of these contracts so that you can do it yourself on testnet, on Ropsten testnet. So please, while I go through some of the updates, make sure that you are logged in to MetaMask. Make sure if you don't have MetaMask downloaded, and I'm going to kind of show this to you right now in the beginning, just so that every single person can get set up. And I know some people already saw this before. So if you did, no worries. There are only a few updates regarding that, but I want to show anyone who hasn't been on one of the last two webinars, just so that you can also be up to date and you can see everything. But first, we're going to cover the new updates and go through all of that so that in case someone has already seen it before, you can maybe skip the second half of the session if that is what you want to do. All right, so let's go ahead and like I said, on MetaMask, I'm gonna drop this link for everyone. It's metamask.io. Make sure that every single person, make sure that you're logged in, make sure that you have it as a Chrome extension. And once you do, then everything is going to be much easier from there. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna start talking about is a couple of these updates. We had some pretty cool sessions specifically this week. We had some really good brainstorming sessions, and one of the things that I talked about when I pushed this webinar out was the Ethereum Alarm Clock. So if anyone, and let me just make sure. Okay, perfect. And that's Nicholas who accidentally came into the webinar. He's actually our newest team member that has just joined recently, and so later on he's going to be helping out with some of the marketing initiatives and also some things on the blog. So maybe I'll have him write something about himself as well. Regardless, let's go ahead and let's speak about some of these updates, because especially when it comes to the Ethereum Alarm Clock, this is quite important. Is we did have a brainstorming session with Piper, who's from the Ethereum Foundation, who is the Ethereum Alarm Clock. That is originally his project. It's one of the projects that we're supporting, and we can't say too many things, unfortunately, about this, but we are going to be working and helping the Ethereum Alarm Clock and creating basically a DApp for the Ethereum alarm clock, which is going to be more complicated. It's going into our next sprint, and it's going to be, and that doesn't mean that it's just going to be completed just within one sprint, but that's how we run development. It is going to be more complex, and I think have much further, far-reaching kind of consequences in a positive way than anything that you've seen to date from us. So I'm really excited about that. Some of the things that actually came out, this goes back to DevCon regarding some of the brainstorming. So, sometimes it takes a decent amount of time for these ideas to materialize, but here I can't tell you too much about it, but this is one of the pictures that we took. I thought it was quite interesting just to keep it and to remind ourselves of some of these ideas. All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit more. I went through this already before, but in case you haven't seen it, again, there is a beta release of the Ethereum Alarm Clock. I'm going to share this article with everyone on here so that you can so you can reference it, you can look at it, you can work with it, and you can as well, especially if you are a developer. Give me a quick one if you're a developer on here. Very, very excited. Hey, Kenny, nice to see you here. I know I owe you a few things, Kenny. Apologies about being slow regarding that, but thank you also for all of the help to date with Reddit and everything else. So go ahead and check this out. This goes very, very in depth, and if you then look at this, then you can also check out our GitHub here, so that you can see all of the updates. You could see, obviously, this is very actively being worked on in our sprints. You could see, right, updated 13 hours ago. So we are very pushing this forward because we heavily believe in the type of effect that it's going to have. It's not going to be, and none of this stuff happens overnight, but that is the plan. And then you can check out some additional things regarding the code. And if you want to check out documentation on the Ethereum Alarm Clock website, then I do recommend that you do that, because you'll see already the work that's been done. And you could check out other things, for example, how, like, what problem does this solve? How does Ethereum currently work? And basically the way, and I'm going to quickly kind of summarize this, is how I don't want to get too deep into it, but basic code execution, the way that it happens in the Ethereum virtual machine, and sorry if I'm getting a little too technical, but it has to be triggered by a private key-based account. And so, for example, if you send a transaction, like maybe sending Ether from one address to another, or you could do something else. You can call a function on a contract account. You could do other things. Those are examples, and the thing is that this is the only way that it can be triggered. It can't be triggered otherwise. In just right, you can't necessarily just put a time into the contract and then it self executes. So that's kind of how it works, and it's quite a big problem, and there isn't a complete solution to it yet. And this obviously has to do with time-based transactions, and was one of the theses, one of the things that we saw that was a problem when it came to Ethereum, that we wanted to figure out how to solve. And that's why when we started working on the Ethereum Alarm Clock, we got really excited and decided to support this, because it is going to have far-reaching consequences. And then you can also then look how the Ethereum Alarm Clock service solves this. Unfortunately, before we came in, a lot of the development was stopped just because there were some other priorities that the founders, specifically Piper, were focusing on, and that's why we're also contributing on an active basis now. So I'm going to kind of hint at a DApp that's going to be coming out. Again, this is not something that happens overnight, so don't expect it in a week or two, not even in a month. But that is what is actively being worked on. Additionally, let's so that was the one thing that I wanted to cover. The second thing that is probably what what a lot of people also want to know about is that, and I will be very, very transparent about it, is that there is going to be a listing on HitBTC that is confirmed, and timing, however, is not confirmed. So I cannot give a specific timeline regarding that, but please be patient and wait as there is some testing as well regarding compatibility that is occurring and happening. And so that's why we haven't as well. We're announcing it here. We've mentioned it as well in the community Slack channel, but outside of that, we haven't really blasted it out too much. We haven't put it, we haven't even put out an article about it just yet because we don't have a concrete date just yet that we can supply and we can give to every single person on here so that you know everything. Okay, so hopefully hopefully everyone can be patient, but obviously as things go ahead and as they happen, we will make sure that we tell you about all of those so that you can know and be up to date regarding the timing of everything. Okay, so that being said, let's go ahead right now and let's jump. Does everyone have MetaMask open? Okay. Does everyone have MetaMask open? And Manuela was asking, hey, is there some type of indication? Is it days, weeks, or months? Again, this is not a firm commitment or anything like that. My first thinking is weeks. Would be happy if it did happen by the end of the month. Okay, so let me go ahead and second thing. So second thing is, does everyone have MetaMask open? I'm going to send everyone a link right here to this alpha. As you can see, this is also new. We haven't shown this before. You may have seen this image because we were working on it, but eventually, and right here, if you look under the debt smart contract, it's going to say coming soon. That is not active right now, but that is also something that in our sprints we are working on. And once we do have also an alpha version of that, we're going to push that out so that people can start testing it and using it on testnet as well as that happens. All right, so once you're there, go ahead and click on custom token, and under MetaMask, make sure that right here on the top, you don't have the main Ethereum network selected, but you have Ropsten selected. Okay, make sure you do that and give me a quick 3 into the question box once you are there, once you have Ropsten set up and once you have MetaMask open, because what we have now is we have this faucet, so so everyone is able to use this on the testnet. You're able to get testnet tokens that actually work with the dApp, so you can go out there and create your own smart contract that is going to be live on testnet by the end of this, and that's going to be pretty freaking cool, at least in my opinion, especially for people that aren't really developers, because you're going to have a smart contract deployed by the end of the session on testnet, as long as you follow along with me and kind of follow all of the steps. Okay, so give me a quick 3 into the question box once you're on the screen right here, please, so that I know that everyone is following along. And then I will go ahead and continue throughout this demo. So the next thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to click on Start. It's going to ask you to reserve tokens. In case you don't have these tokens, and what I'm going to do as well, let me just double check. I want to make sure that on here, okay, I want to make sure that there is maybe, I think I have tokens on every single one of these accounts, but basically what happens is if you don't, then it's going to allow you to go ahead, right? So I'm going to be able to reserve them right there, and it's going to pop up. But in case you don't, it's going to redirect you to the faucet, okay? And you're going to be able to use that faucet. Now, how is that going to work? So let me go ahead and let me make sure that we go through that as well, just so that I can show you how all of that works, and maybe or does everyone have it? Does everyone know how to how to use the faucet? I just want to double check. Give me a quick yes. If it's a no, then I can show it to you. But in case it is, then don't want to necessarily repeat everything. If you don't have any Ether on your MetaMask account, which you won't in the beginning, then what you can do is you select buy right here in MetaMask, and it takes you to Ropsten testnet faucet. And then there, all you're going to do is request 1 Ether from faucet. Okay. And then once you have that, then it's going to give you the transaction, and that's going to fund your Ropsten testnet account in MetaMask with Ether that you can then use, because you need the Ether first to pay for the gas in order to get the day token and leverage that faucet. Okay, so just wanted to show that to you. Next, you're going to then start creating a token. And what I'm going to do is, let me call this basically I'm going to call it the quick token, okay? And it's going to, let's make it QCK, okay? We're going to continue. We're going to give it a minimum minting power. Let's give it, and this is in percentages. So let's give it, I don't know, let's give it, I'm going to make this pretty extreme, okay? So the minimum is going to be 10%, the maximum is 20%. And this is going to go really quick, but I want to do this to show you this example. This is not necessarily a realistic example, but I want to show you how this minting works. Halving cycle, I'm going to do a halving cycle. Let's do that every, you know, I don't know, 1,000 periods. And then the period in seconds is going to be really quick. And that's why it's going to be the really quick token. And that's why I want to do it that way, is because it's going to be actually, let's do it every, I don't know, 15 seconds. Okay. So basically, right, you know how with the day token, it is every single day. This is going to be minting every 15 seconds, which is obviously pretty fast. So again, I'm not sure necessarily what you would use this for, but it's to serve as an example to accelerate the periods so that you see how the minting works and how it occurs. So max addresses, I'm going to do for this one, let me only do, we'll do 7. Okay, starting ID for team 6, we'll give 1 team address. Team lockup period, let's put, 10,000 or 100,000 seconds, because it is in seconds. And then post-release max addresses, I'll put 1 there. That means addresses that you can assign then once you've deployed the entire contract. Minimum balance to transfer a TimeMint is going to be, let's make that 7,000. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's continue. Now we have everything right here. And is everyone following along? Give me a quick yes into the question box. Just want to check in quickly. Give me a quick yes if everyone is following along. If it's a no, feel free to put a no as well in there. I just want to double check so that I know that if I'm going too fast, too slow, or whatever, and I can speed it up or slow it down. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select deploy. And it's going to pop up right here. It's MetaMask notification. I'm going to have to confirm this transaction. And I just submit. And now it is awaiting mining. Let's go ahead. Let's check this out on Etherscan. This is Ropsten Etherscan because this is testnet. I'm going to send this out to everyone so you can look at it live. right here. And it should hopefully make sense as it is live right here. And you can check out how all of that how all that looks, right? How this transaction is then pending confirmation and what is happening there. Okay. Now let's go ahead and okay, perfect. It is a success. And since it is a success, what do we do next? Okay, well, it's loading contract data. It's going to ask you to take ownership. You're going to select OK. You're going to have to sign and confirm another transaction. Select Submit. You press OK. And now you have everything right here. Okay, you have everything right here. And now we can start allocating these time mints. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please give me an Ether address and I will allocate time mints to you and you will see how all of this works. So drop in your Ether address so I know and I can make you a receiver and I can give you these quick tokens and you will see how they grow literally within your own Ether address, and then you can actually send those tokens onward. You can do a lot of things. So please please go ahead and send that to me through the question box so that I can give those to you, and you will have quick tokens then within your address. So you will be basically a part of that Genesis those Genesis addresses. All right, so Thiago sent me one. There's another Thiago. There's not the Thiago from, well, you might be from Brazil too. I'm going to give you, let's use the number 7 today, so 7,000. And let's say that 1 Ether equals 7,000 tokens. I'm going to give you TimeMint ID 1, and I'm going to allocate that for you, and then I'm going to select OK. It's going to make me confirm and sign a transaction. And then I'm going to press OK. Perfect. And let's go ahead and let's allocate number 2. Okay, let's go through. Carl, you're up next. All right, I'm going to give you 2 ETH worth, which is going to be 14,000. Time and ID 2. Let's allocate yours. Let's select OK. Let's sign the transaction. And then Mark, I'm gonna allocate yours as well. Okay, I just copied your address from there. Number of tokens, you're gonna get 4 ETH worth. So that's 28,000. And your ID is 3. Allocate, press OK, submit, press OK. Felipe, let's get yours. That will make you number 4. I'll give you 7,000 tokens. Okay, time and ID 4, allocate, press OK, press submit, press OK. We have 3 more, last 3. Okay, 3 more. All right, so whoever wants them, then feel free, give me your address. Okay, so number of tokens, I'm gonna give you 2, which is 14,000, and you are TimeMint number 5. Okay, allocate. Okay, Bruno, you are up next. You are number 6, and then someone's going to be the lucky person who's going to get the last one. I'm going to give you 7,000 tokens. Okay, time and ID 6, and allocate. And then Jay, you are lucky number 7. I'm going to give you 10 ETH worth, which is 70,000 tokens, and you are TimeMint ID 7. Let's make that a team member TimeMint and press OK, and then we can submit, and perfect. Now we have allocated all of them. And you will see right here in transaction history, check this out, right? You see all of the transaction hashes and all of the time mints that are being allocated. The last 2 have not yet been, but once that happens, hopefully in a few seconds, then they will be. And you could see the contract deployment code, the contract ABI code as well. That's not as important for you if you are working with this. The most important later on is going to be right here, then that you can go ahead and release these tokens, okay? So I select release, and it says you won't be able to allocate TimeMints after this. So that's why you do that only at the end once you've allocated everything. And so you press OK, you select submit. You're going to have to confirm again this transaction. The tokens are released, and that's it. That's it. That's how you're going to be able to do it. And then so check it out. There is a contract address, obviously, and you can see that these have been allocated. And if you look at, for example, some of these transaction hashes, then you could see that, right, contract right here. And let me zoom in for you. And I'll give, just so everyone has this contract address, I'm going to drop it in here to the audience. Check it out. And so this was an allocation of 14,000 quick tokens to this address. Okay. And this address is, whose address was this again? Let me look. This was, sorry, I'm just cross-checking. This was Rifat's, if I'm correct. Was that Rifat's? Okay, or Fernando, but I think it was Rifat's. I only allocated 14,000. But check this out. If you start refreshing, because remember, the minting occurs, right, pretty fast, you're gonna see that it's gonna, the token balance is actually gonna go up very, very quickly. So go ahead and you'll be able to check that out. And once you start refreshing, you're going to see that token balance go up, and that's pretty cool. How you can do that and how that works. And if I assign these TimeMints to other people, then you should be able to see them. Some of the transactions failed, so maybe one or two of them were not allocated. And you always want to check this. I didn't, just because I was going through it fast, by clicking on the contract address and seeing, and then you can kind of cross-check, double-check, make sure that everything was allocated properly. This one is, for example, this one is the accept ownership. The accept ownership one. The second transaction is basically 7,000 tokens to, who did I first give 7,000 tokens to Thiago, who is on this call. Let me do this. The third one is the 14,000 tokens to Carl. Okay. The fourth one is 20,000 tokens to Mark, who is on this call. And then the fifth one is the 7,000 tokens to Felipe. And then the sixth one right here is, if you see the 14,000 tokens that I showed to Rafat, we went over that one. And then there is some failed ones as well. And I believe those were the, I think those might have been the last two ones that occurred. So that's how it works. And basically this allows you to, let's say you want to go ahead and create some type of, maybe you want to create some type of bonus pool or your own token that can be used, let's say, within your company. And I'm just going through random use cases. We already went through mostly the debt smart contract ones and how those work with kind of with like interest payments and how all of that functions if you want to use it as clearing a debt obligation. But if you want to do it, let's say, for a bonus pool for just tokens, and this is more for like a customer loyalty program or something like that, then you can start assigning these tokens to people, and they can then use it, let's say, within your business, within your community, to redeem them and maybe gain access to. If you even have like a food and beverage business, if it's a loyalty type of thing, then the longer that they've been with you, then they accumulate more tokens. They can use more of them. Obviously, you wouldn't set it to mint on a 15-second basis, but you might set it to mint on a every week type of basis, and they accumulate those points via a token that they can leverage and use with you. And that's just one random type of use case that you can leverage with this type of contract. And so what I need from the community is we do need some additional feedback as we continue through everything. So please go ahead, please actually use this, please use MetaMask, please use Ropsten testnet, please go here and do it actively, and then go ahead and within Slack you can start sharing what you've done and the different types of contracts that you have created as well, and potential use cases that you might be thinking about looking at.